Hello and welcome to Tuesday Newsday, your #1 resource for the entire week's worth of VR news. Before I get started today, I want to wish everyone watching a super Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Whether you're watching this looking under the tree, hoping for an Oculus Quest, or you've treated yourself to a headset, or you're in the process of saving up for one, I do want to say welcome and congrats. I truly hope you get as much enjoyment out of your new headsets as I have, but we've got stuff to cover, so let's get right into the news. This past week, Adam Savage's Tested dropped a surprise 30-minute long video of them at Valve headquarters playing Half-Life Alyx, comparing their experience with 8 different VR headsets, most performing well except for one. If you remember, we didn't get the info drops or gameplay reveals at the Game Awards like was promised a few weeks ago, so getting to see hands-on gameplay and information about the game was extremely unexpected. If you don't want to spend 30 minutes watching the entire video or skimming through, I'll just summarize it quickly and hit on all the major details because honestly, it's all pretty interesting. First off, Half-Life Alyx does in fact have both smooth locomotion and teleport movement options. We kind of already knew that, but at least we have confirmation. In terms of an interesting decision by Valve, currently there are no climbable ladders. Right now, changes in elevation are handled by teleportation, so you walk up to a ladder, teleport up, and that's that for now. It should be noted that this is nowhere near a final build, and just because something like climbing ladders or an acceleration curve on smooth locomotion isn't present in this build doesn't mean it won't be in the final one. Norm and Will were able to play about 3 hours of the game, but did say the final plot will last around 15 hours. We also got to see a small peek of the inventory management system used within Alyx. Watching the video, you can tell Valve was pretty careful about only showing certain parts of the game, as any plot elements shown were very abstract. And this was purely to show some basic gameplay and serve as a guide for anyone interested in the game but unsure if their own headsets will be compatible and play well with Alyx. So really quickly, out of the 8 headsets tested, here were the basic results. The Index played Half-Life Alyx like you'd expect. It's Valve's game and Valve's headset, so there were no issues. In terms of Oculus Rift and Rift S, they both handled the game just fine. Occlusion was not so much of an issue for the touch controllers and inside-out tracking of the Rift S or Quest, but Norm from Tested did say that the compression was pretty noticeable, especially in the darker areas of the game with the Quest Link. The biggest complaint here was the lack of good immersive audio and weak bass, which we already knew that about both the headsets. Gotta wear headphones pretty much. While using the OG Vive and Vive wands, the game played well, but it was noted that some tweaking could be made for actions like reloading, as clunking controllers together was common. A similar sentiment was shown regarding Windows Mixed Reality, as the tracking ring on the WMR controllers made it difficult to perform manual reloads sometimes and could use some future tweaking as well. But overall, the game played well on it, and I hate to do this again and call out the HTC Vive Cosmos, but the only headset the pair didn't like playing the Half-Life Alyx on was the Cosmos. They had the same issues that I had, and this is months after release and a few software updates, constantly losing tracking on the controllers, and they're bulky and kind of uncomfortable to hold. It's ironic that out of the entire range of headsets tested, the one that they flat out didn't enjoy using was the second most expensive headset, and the newest one. It's a damn shame. Obviously, this problem should improve over time with software updates and will possibly be a non-issue with the base station tracking faceplate coming out 2020, but that's an extra $200 that is without any controllers that even come with it. But the point is made, there are better headsets to play Half-Life Alyx on. Let's move on. Boneworks has continued to do well, and the devs over at Stress Level 0 are still hard at work with fixing a few bugs and working on additional content. In addition to the Windows Mixed Reality patch that pretty much allowed WMR users to play the game, a few small bugs were fixed as well. The interesting part to me, however, is what's coming soon and in 2020 for Boneworks. Mid-level checkpoint saves are expected to drop mid-January, which I know is a welcomed addition for many people. In the further future, new arena modes, challenges, guns, and tools are all planned content updates as well as the testing area that we've seen in a few Node videos. And now onto our main topic, Oculus Quest full body tracking. So I am a full body tracking super enthusiast, I guess. I've always been infatuated with motion capture technology, and even though VR headsets and Vive trackers are expensive, I understand that completely. The idea that we could have a pretty awesome virtual reality motion capture setup in our own homes for under $1,000 is awesome. After using full body for a while in things like VR Chat and Neos and Blade and Sorcery, I realized just how much of a difference having full control of your body makes in terms of immersion and gameplay potential, which is why I personally think that the next big step in terms of game design and hardware standards for VR needs to be full body implementation. And while I still think we're a while away from that in particular, at least full body being a standard that is, I know that the Oculus crowd has been begging for better tracking solutions than a Nolo or Kinect, and one company may have just done it. Anti-Latency, a company specializing in tracking solutions for all sorts of things related to AR and VR, showed off a video on their channel of an untethered Oculus Quest using their tracking solution. The way it works is by using a tracker on your body called the Alt, mixing optical, velocity, and gyroscopic data to track position. The sensors gather 2,000 measurements per second, and according to Anti-Latency, provide an extremely low latency tracking method, hence their name, I'm guessing. Basically, what these guys have done is design a modular sensor that can be used for a variety of situations, just one of them being full body tracking capability with a Quest. You can see in the video there's an Alt on the headset, one on each leg, and you may notice something about the play space, however, and it's something that they didn't mention in the video. There are a couple dozen active IR markers on the ground, and the system uses that for relative tracking information. So you're going to need to do the same to your room or house if you want this sort of full body tracking setup for your own home. I see a lot of hype for this tracking solution for sure, and I see the benefits. It looks awesome, but it is worth mentioning that IR markers are necessary for this setup to work. One thing that is extremely cool about this is the scalability with something like the Quest. You can create a play space of up to 100 by 100 meters and have full body tracking. That's a dream, to be honest. One thing you may notice right away if you use full body is the lack of a hip tracker. You absolutely need a hip tracker to get good looking full body tracking, but I can't see why another Alt can't just be placed on the hip as well. Just Anti-Latency may have chosen not to do it here for some reason. The potential here is amazing, and I'm super excited for it. But if you were looking for a new and more affordable way to access full body, this ain't it, chief. Right now, if you have an Oculus Quest with Link or Rift S and want full body tracking with Vive Pucks, you need to buy base stations and 3 Vive trackers, and that comes to be about $600 give or take. Of course, if you have a Vive or Index, you don't need the base stations, but we're talking about Quest and Oculus here. Well, Anti-Latency's full body solution isn't any cheaper. You will need 3 to 4 Alts, those little sensors, and they come up to $100 each, radio sockets for each one, and the play space tracking area, which comes to $250 for a 10 square meter area. So you're looking at around $600 to $700 for tracking on the Quest. Still pretty pricey, but badass nonetheless. And I want to see more like this from other companies. It's been proven over and over again. People want full body in their games. It's just a matter of who can create the cheapest and best solution first, I think. We're on the right track. We just need it to be affordable. Anyway, it's time for a meme break. Okay, maybe it's just me that laughed at this, but Oculus had to push out an update for the Quest and Rift S because the tracking stopped working around Christmas trees. I mean, it's just super ironic to me. People get these badass new devices for Christmas, will throw them on Christmas morning, and wonder why their new device isn't working. Basically, what happens is the lights on the Christmas tree can sometimes appear to the Quest or Rift S as a giant cluster of LEDs, similar in style to the LEDs that the controllers use for tracking. I think you can see how this may be an issue by now. Luckily, a patch dropped and has fixed most of these problems by filtering out LEDs that are too small or large relative to the controller's LEDs at the last time that the sensor saw them. But I know that I had a little chuckle over the whole situation. And now, back to the news. The Oculus Link cable for the Quest that allows you to plug your Quest into a VR-ready PC to play full PC VR games has been officially released and is available for purchase. The cables will ship starting January 7th, 2020 and cost $79 as we all know. There are quite a few cables that work already and are significantly cheaper, but without the use of an extension USB, none are as long as the Oculus Link, which measures out to be 5 meters. This cable is also quite a bit lighter and thinner than typical extension cables, so I could see how it may be suitable for some. Speaking of the Quest, the hand tracking update dropped last week, and the only officially supported apps for it were a couple of menus pretty much. That hasn't stopped some hardworking devs, however. A few demos have been made available on SideQuest, a side-loading application for the Quest that allows you to load third-party software onto the HMD. Among these demos is a virtual piano, cubism, and my favorite, Might of the Gods, where you use your hands to interact with tiny humans. None of the demos are perfect or feel like full-fledged games, but that's okay. They're demos that show what the future of hand tracking may hold once the software improves and more developers have a crack at it. It's interesting to play a game and not use any controllers at all, and I can't wait to see where it goes, honestly. I think this has gigantic potential for simpler games, made even simpler by eliminating buttons and controls feels to use the most natural controller that we have, our hands. But talking about using our hands and controllers, I couldn't leave out Logitech's new VR pen, now available for pre-order. This thing actually looks super cool. It's a pen that uses SteamVR tracking with extremely high precision and low latency that allows you to, well, draw in VR. Whether that's up in the air like in Tilt Brush or on a mat like you're using a drawing tablet, it's up to you. I know personally using a controller for this sort of application, especially drawing precise figures, can be a pain. So it's definitely a cool product. The only problem I see here is the price. To pre-order this thing, you're looking at $750. What? That's kind of insane considering the most expensive controllers in VR you have right now have 87 something sensors and uses the same tracking techniques and comes with 2 of them and can be had for less than $300. Maybe it's the professional tax where anything used by professionals that makes money instantly costs more, but man, I do worry about that price tag. Final thing on hardware, it seems that there's some massive confusion over at Pimax right now. There was a surprise reveal of a new Pimax headset called the Artisan with a lower resolution display and field of view, but same refresh rate as their other headsets. Speculation is that the Artisan is Pimax's new budget or low cost headset, showing a question mark over just how many hundreds of dollars this thing will cost. When Sweetviver, the Pimax specialist YouTuber, was asked about it, there seemed to be some confusion and maybe frustration in his statement. Quote, "If anyone asks me what's going on here, well, I don't know. Or I know, but I'm not allowed to talk about it. I'm not allowed to talk about this unit at all. Officially, it doesn't exist. This was supposed to be announced and demoed at CES, but obviously someone doesn't agree." End quote. So yeah, we know something is coming at CES in just a few weeks from Pimax. Maybe it's the Artisan, who knows. I know for certain I would be interested in testing out a budget option from Pimax versus the Index or other headsets. I love high field of view and refresh rates, so it seems right up my alley, but we'll just have to see. And now onto question of the week from Chase Peppers. Do you have anything you do routinely before or while you are in a long VR session? Please don't use this as a sponsor segue. Well, the first thing I do before every stream and long VR session is make myself a nice cup of G-Sups, powder that'll keep you going all night. Don't forget to use discount Thrill at just kidding. Well, not really. So generally, my routine for setting up a long VR session is making sure I have water and other drinks nearby. I crank my air conditioning up so my play space is colder than normal, start all the software I use, mainly SteamVR and Turn Signal because of my pulley system, and if I'm streaming, I start Streamlabs, OVR Toolkit, and Spotify, throw on my trackers, and launch my game or stream. I'll probably end up doing an in-depth tutorial in the future on how to stream in VR because there's kind of a lot of little software things that you need to do to get things working correctly and looking good. Oh, and I forgot, I also usually stretch this a little bit, maybe do some jumping jacks, get the heart pumping. Either way, make sure to leave your question of the week. It could be about anything, and I just might answer yours next. I am streaming today as I do every Tuesday on Twitch, so make sure to stop by and say what's up. Also, become a true ThrillSeeker today and join up in my Discord server for a good time. Thank you to everyone you see here for being an amazing Patreon supporter. I couldn't be doing any of this without you, especially our Omegas like Skeleto and Ninjo, a new Omega. Don't forget to like this video if you loved it, subscribe if you want more of this, and hit that freaking bell if you just can't live without it. Much love, Merry Christmas, and Thrill out.
And I can promise Santa's coming to visit. No, he wouldn't miss this in Christmas times.